In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, on the bustling planet of Ceros, a young human named Ava found herself at the center of an extraordinary adventure. Ava, a brilliant xenobiologist, had always been fascinated by the diverse array of alien species that populated the galaxy. Her insatiable curiosity led her to the remote corners of Ceros, where she stumbled upon a shocking discovery: an abandoned Vargarian protector, a canine-like creature revered for its fierce loyalty and unparalleled strength. The Vargarian, named Khan, had been cast aside by his former owners, the wealthy Zoran family, who deemed him unfit for their lavish lifestyle. Scared and mistreated, Khan had resigned himself to a life of neglect and despair in the bustling city marketplace, where he was often mocked and avoided by passers-by. Ava's heart ached at the sight of the majestic creature's plight. Ignoring the warnings of the wary marketplace vendors, she approached Khan with a gentle touch and a soothing voice. To her surprise, the Vargarian did not lash out in aggression, but rather his eyes softened, and he recognized a kindred spirit in the young human. Determined to give Khan a second chance, Ava struck a bargain with the reluctant marketplace owner, convincing him to part with the Vargarian for a modest sum. With Khan by her side, Ava embarked on a journey to uncover the truth behind his abandonment and to restore his rightful place in the galaxy. As they navigated the labyrinthine streets of Ceros, Ava and Khan forged an unbreakable bond. Khan, who had once been viewed as a dangerous outcast, began to blossom under Ava's care, his majestic presence and fierce loyalty earning him the grudging respect of the local residents. Yet, their newfound harmony was soon shattered when Ava stumbled upon a sinister plot orchestrated by the Zoran family, a plot that threatened not only Khan's future, but the delicate balance of power in the Andromeda Galaxy. The Zoran family, once revered as the epitome of wealth and influence in the Andromeda Galaxy, had a dark secret lurking beneath the surface of their opulent lifestyle. Unbeknownst to the public, the Zorans had amassed their fortune through unscrupulous means, exploiting the natural resources of countless planets and subjugating indigenous populations to serve their own interests. At the heart of their nefarious scheme was the Vargarian protectors, the revered canine-like creatures that were prized for their unwavering loyalty and unparalleled combat abilities. The Zorans have been systematically capturing and enslaving these magnificent beasts, using them as living weapons to intimidate their rivals and crush any resistance to their plans for galactic domination. When Ava stumbled upon Khan, the Zorans immediately recognized a threat she posed to their carefully constructed web of deceit. They dispatched their most ruthless agents to track down the young xenobiologist and her Vargarian companion, determined to eliminate them before they could uncover the truth. Ava and Khan found themselves embroiled in a high-stakes chase, evading the Zorans' relentless pursuit as they uncovered the shocking extent of the family's crimes. From the bustling streets of Ceros to the remote outposts scattered across the galaxy, they uncovered a trail of corruption, exploitation, and unspeakable cruelty perpetrated by the Zorans. As they delved deeper into the mystery, Ava realized that Khan's story was not an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of a much larger problem: the systemic oppression and mistreatment of the Vargarian protectors at the hands of the Zorans and their ilk. Driven by a burning desire for justice, Ava and Khan knew that they had to expose the truth and put an end to the Zorans' tyranny, no matter the personal cost. Ava and Khan's quest to uncover the Zorans' dark secrets led them to the remote planet of Xiron, a seemingly idyllic world that housed one of the Zorans' most heavily guarded Vargarian breeding facilities. Navigating the treacherous terrain and evading the Zorans' relentless pursuit, they stumbled upon an unexpected ally, a gruff, seasoned mercenary named Theron. Theron, a former soldier turned independent contractor, had his own reasons for despising the Zorans. He had witnessed firsthand the devastation wrought by their ruthless exploitation of the Vargarian protectors, and he had dedicated his life to disrupting their operations and freeing the captive creatures whenever he could. At first, Theron was skeptical of Ava and Khan's motives, But as they shared their story and their determination to expose the Zoran's crimes, he saw the potential in their partnership. Together, they devised a daring plan to infiltrate the Zyron breeding facility, rescue the captive Vargarians, and gather the evidence needed to bring down the Zoran Empire once and for all. The mission was fraught with danger, as the Zorans had anticipated their arrival and deployed their own elite security forces to guard the facility. But with Khan's ferocity, Theron's combat expertise, and Ava's quick thinking, they managed to navigate the treacherous obstacles and reach the heart of the breeding facility. There, they were horrified by the sight that greeted them. Rows upon rows of caged Vargarians, their spirits broken and their bodies bearing the scars of mistreatment and experimentation. Ava's heart sank, and she knew that she could not leave them behind. With renewed determination, she and her allies worked tirelessly to free the captive creatures, forging a deep bond with the majestic beasts as they risked everything to secure their liberation. As they made their narrow escape, Ava, Khan, and Theron knew that they had taken the first steps towards toppling the Zoran's tyrannical rule. But the road ahead would be long and perilous, and they would need to gather more allies if they were to have any hope of succeeding in their quest for justice. With the evidence they had gathered at the Zyron breeding facility, Ava, Khan, and Theron set out to rally the support of the galaxy's most influential figures and organizations. They knew that they could not take on the Zoran Empire alone, and they needed to forge a coalition of the willing, a resistance movement that would be strong enough to challenge the family's stranglehold on power. Their first stop was the bustling metropolis of Altaris, where they sought an audience with the Galactic Council, a governing body that oversaw the affairs of the Andromeda Galaxy. However, they soon discovered that the Zorans had already infiltrated the upper echelons of the Council, using their wealth and influence to sway the decision-makers in their favor. Undeterred, Ava and her allies turned to the underworld, seeking out the aid of the galaxy's most notorious smugglers, hackers, and informants. They knew that these individuals had their own reasons for despising the Zorans, and they were willing to take on the risk of opposing the powerful family in exchange for a share of the spoils. As word of their mission spread, Ava and her team began to attract the attention of a diverse array of individuals, from disgruntled former Zoran employees to oppressed indigenous leaders who had suffered under the family's exploitative policies. One by one, they rallied these disparate groups, forging a network of resistance that spanned the Andromeda Galaxy. The Zorans, sensing the growing threat to their power, responded with increasingly ruthless tactics. They dispatched their elite security forces to hunt down the members of the resistance, and they used their influence to discredit and undermine Ava and her allies at every turn. But Ava and her team were undaunted. They knew that they were fighting for a cause greater than themselves, and they were willing to put everything on the line to bring down the Zoran Empire. With Khan's strength, Theron's tactical expertise, and the unwavering support of their growing network of allies, they began to chip away at the Zoran's stranglehold on power, slowly but surely. As the resistance movement gained momentum, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see whether the unlikely heroes would succeed in their daring quest to overthrow the tyrannical rule of the Zoran family. The tension in the Andromeda Galaxy reached a fever pitch as Ava, Khan, and Theron's resistance movement continued to gain strength and momentum. The Zorans, sensing the impending collapse of their empire, had become increasingly desperate and ruthless in their efforts to maintain control. In a bold move, the Zorans orchestrated a massive crackdown on the resistance, launching coordinated strikes against the network of allies that Ava and her team had assembled. Hundreds of resistance fighters were arrested, and the Zorans used their influence to spread disinformation and turn public opinion against the movement. Ava, Khan, and Theron found themselves cornered, their resources dwindling and their options shrinking. But they refused to give up, knowing that the fate of the Vargarian protectors and the future of the Andromeda Galaxy hung in the balance. Rallying the remaining members of the resistance, they devised a daring plan to infiltrate the Zoran's heavily fortified headquarters on the planet Sapphira, the heart of the family's power. It would be a suicide mission, but they had no choice but to take the risk. As they approached the Zoran stronghold, they encountered fierce resistance from the family's elite security forces. Khan's ferocity and Theron's combat skills proved invaluable as they fought their way through the hail of blaster fire, but the odds were stacked against them. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, an unexpected ally emerged. A group of Vargarian protectors, freed from the Zoran's breeding facilities, joined the fray, their loyalty and strength turning the tide of the battle. In a climactic showdown, Ava, Khan, and Theron confronted the Zorans, exposing the full extent of their crimes and demanding an end to their tyrannical rule. The Zorans, cornered and facing the prospect of losing everything, lashed out with desperation, triggering a massive explosion that threatened to destroy the entire Zephyra facility. As the chaos unfolded, Ava and her allies worked tirelessly to evacuate the remaining Vargarians and secure the evidence that would finally bring down the Zoran Empire. In the end, the resistance emerged victorious, the Zoran's reign of terror finally coming to an end. In the aftermath of the battle on Zephyra, the Andromeda Galaxy found itself in a state of upheaval. The Zoran Empire had crumbled, and the Galactic Council was forced to confront the reality of the family's crimes, as the overwhelming evidence presented by Ava and her allies could no longer be ignored. The liberation of the Vargarian protectors, long exploited and mistreated, was celebrated across the galaxy. Ava, Khan, and Theron were hailed as heroes, their actions spurring a wave of renewed hope and optimism among the people. However, the road to recovery was not an easy one. The Zorans had left a legacy of devastation in their wake, and the Galactic Council was tasked with the immense challenge of rebuilding the systems and structures that had been corrupted by the family's influence. Ava, Khan, and Theron remained at the forefront of this effort, using their newfound influence to advocate for the rights and well-being of the Vargarian protectors. They worked tirelessly to establish new laws and regulations that would prevent the exploitation of these magnificent creatures, and they dedicated themselves to rehabilitating and reintegrating the captive Vargarians back into their rightful place in the galaxy. As the months passed, the Andromeda Galaxy began to heal, and a new era of prosperity and unity emerged. The Vargarian protectors, once viewed as mere weapons, were now revered as the noble guardians they had always been, their loyalty and strength serving as a symbol of the power of unity and compassion. Ava, Khan, and Theron, their bond forged through the trials and tribulations of their journey, continued to work together, ensuring that the legacy of the Zoran Empire would never be forgotten, and that the ideals of justice, equality, and freedom would be upheld for generations to come. In the end, the story of the Forgotten Guardian had become a testament to the power of the human spirit, the resilience of the Vargarian protectors, and the triumph of the unlikely heroes who had dared to challenge the status quo and change the course of the Andromeda Galaxy forever.